Mary Brewer talks about the early farm life and some of her surprises. Did she get a visit from the police or not? Let's find out. Good afternoon, Mary. It's episode 8. Thanks again for joining us.
Oh goodness, we're up to that already. Well, we've decided on a very busy day because there's a lot happening here today.
Mary, going back, I want to ask you, years ago, what would happen if a snake got in your way?
Oh, I'd get the shovel and kill it.
Fair enough. What would you do today?
Get a shovel and kill it.
Very good. Now, you love to surprise people. You've set us up on a few surprises.
Yes, I do that a little bit, yes. I might add that Judy wouldn't kill a snake for anything. I don't say she'd pet it, but she certainly wouldn't let me kill it. Judy won't kill anything. And I'm ruthless. I kill the chooks if I need them because we eat them. Kill the sheep because we eat them.
Do you have any favourite surprises in mind that you want to talk about?
I'd have to think about that one. I might tell you one little story around here. As the neighbours grew, we grew very close together with neighbours because we were fairly isolated. And each year at New Year, one of us would have a party. And this particular year, Dave, at the end of the road here, decided he'd have the New Year's party. So we all went out and had bonfires and nonsense and put balloons up in the air and all sorts of things and plenty of drink. And about 2 o'clock in the morning I thought I'd had enough and I'd decide to come home, but I left the rest of them out there. And I drove home and I thought, well, they're having a good time, why did I bother coming home? So I'll go back and surprise them. But what I did was, we had a cousin who used to be in the police force and I had an old police cap. So I came home and put on a leather jacket, big gumboots, black trousers, police helmet, police cap, and I got a blue cellophane paper and I put it over the top of a torch and put it on the top of my car and drove out onto the road. And as each of them came out from the party, it was dark. They could see the blue light on the thing and they could see me standing there. And they were pretty much under the weather, so I stopped the first car and went out and said, could I see your licence? And they became very established. And I told them this was just a warning, be careful on the road. They went off. I did the next lot. And it didn't take very long before, they got the gist of it. But that wasn't the end of it. The end of the day came and next morning I got a telephone call. This is the Myrtleford police station. If you're home, we've got to deliver a bluey to you. We've been told you were out taking on a police force and that's against the law. So we're coming out to see you and give you an interview. I was absolutely flabbergasted, thought this is the worst thing that's ever happened in the family. Fancy somebody, I'll finish up in jail. And it was one of the neighbours that I'd caught the night before. So it worked both ways.
Oh, that's perfect.
We've had a lot of fun out here.
Just sitting around here now, Mary, I'm looking at massive veggie gardens, a potting shed, and there's rock retaining walls and a grotto and new buildings. There's workmen everywhere. There's Davo over there. We can wave to Davo. What do you see?
I see a very, very beautiful part of the world, God's own country in the valley of Mudgegonga, hills around us, what was a pretty bare farm, now being developed into a lovely, what would we call it? Judy calls it a social farm, but we've got buildings and we're establishing it so that she can have other people to share the farm that we've got. We feel it's so lovely, not exactly being selfish because it is ours, but we'd like to share it with others, and we're aware that there are so many people who live alone or are lonely or disabled who never get out of the town. So we're establishing it so that we could have people come here and play in a vegetable garden, do some seeding, wander around, feed the animals, see the animals, or bring their crafts or do what they want to do. So it's basically just sharing what we think is lovely.
And when they leave, they'll always feel better, won't they?
Well, we're hoping that they will. It's very hard to be here and not feel a bit better than when you came. I find that even coming out on one day, even if it's raining. Of course, in the early days, and we say before the global warming, as we call it, we used to get snow here right down to the house. We don't now, but that was always an interesting day. People wanted to come and see the snow.
And you managed a lot here, Mary. You drove trucks.
Oh yes.
And you cut hay.
Anything that had an engine, I got on it.
And
There was no alternative. There wasn't any. Judy started the tractor when she was 7. Henry wasn't much older. The children had horses. We did cattle with horses. Before I was married, I had a motorbike in Melbourne. So when I came up here, I got a motorbike, rounded cattle up with a motorbike, started with a little one, got a bit bigger. The 3 children all had horses, and we did the cattle with horses. And I never liked riding a horse, but had to if sometimes.
I've got my motorbike here at the moment. We could go for a
I
ride
was
later.
tempted. I saw one out there. Is that blue one yours?
Yes, yep.
Oh,
Take
well,
it any time. It's a kickstart, so
I will.
no electric start.
Yes,
on that one.
no, mine was a kickstart. Oh yes, absolutely.
Tell me about this beautiful old homestead, the way it was designed. I've spoke to Judy about how
Yes.
it keeps its warmth in the winter and it's quite cool in the summer.
Yes, it's got very high ceilings in the house, so that in the summer it's cool. It has a veranda. Now it's on 3 sides. Originally there were the 4 bedrooms and a veranda all the way around. Now on the veranda were various hammocks that hung across the veranda, a pool table or ping pong table or whatever it was. But perhaps I should tell you, going back to when I first came, the history of the place was that my mother and father-in-law had been here with a full-time worker who was called Charlie. Now Charlie had a room on the veranda. It was a very makeshift room. It was really a veranda with 2 walls. And he slept there, he ate there, he lived there. They never came into the house. Men never came into the 4 bedrooms. Even the married women, the men stayed outside and the women came in. But beside Charlie's room was 2 hammocks that were fastened to the veranda posts, where if we had extra people, they slept on a hammock. And then Harry, as a child, or before he was married, had a sleep out on the veranda, which meant there were only 4 main bedrooms. And with the Italian style, when the girls got married, they were expected to come home and help on the farm. The farm, I might add, was very much bigger in those days. So you had 2 or 3 married sisters all sharing a bedroom. Mater, who was the mother, my grandmother-in-law, had her room, off which was a little room that was called a nursery, because she delivered half the family in the little nursery.
Wow.
So that was the nursery. One of the other front rooms was a pantry with a lock on the door.
So, sorry, they were delivered here in this house?
Yes, Harry was born here. Yeah.
With just Mato and no other assistants?
Well, sometimes it seems there was. I don't know enough to be exact about it, but certainly Mate had delivered them. One that was premature and she fed it with a nose dropper.
Oh, wow.
That's Uncle Peter, who lived.
So what's your fondest memory of inside the house there?
I haven't got a fond memory until we owned it.
Yeah, okay.
There were so many in-laws and other people who had opinions about it, who'd lived there at various times, who thought it would be this and we thought it would be something different, or who were offended when we changed things. And I had no love for it at all until that generation had either passed on or had eventually given up on the farm, and we had it to ourselves with the children. And then I loved it. No, I didn't have any affection for it at all. It was full of history that I didn't understand, and I saw it as interference. My mother-in-law was with us till she died. She had come out here bedridden, blind, and we looked after her. That was the period when I wasn't working, and she died out here. There wasn't much I liked about it, but I do now. And it really wasn't until after the fire that I loved it, because the period of time when we were first married and out here, and as I say, I was a city person, I didn't know anything about it. We didn't have electricity, we had to live with kerosene lamps and candles and things.
So did you have running town water here?
No, no, what a joke. The place has many springs, so there was beautiful spring water, and out towards the back door was a deep well that had beautiful water in it. In the kitchen, which was a fairly small kitchen considering how many people were there were two fireplaces. One was the slow burning open fire for the kitchen, and the other was just a fireplace. So I came into a one fire stove with absolutely no experience of how to cook on a one fire stove, and a well of water. So Harry contrived a hole in the wall and took a pipe from the well through the hole in the wall, and we put a tap on it, because the kitchen had a big tub, you might say. It was china. There was no stainless steel sinks. This was a china sink, and I wonder what it was used for, obviously washing up. And we had what we called a water fountain on the one fire stove that gave us hot water. But in the winter you'd go out and break the ice on the top of the water and put the bucket in and pull out the well. And I can remember having babies and trying to get up in the night and heat a bottle of milk over the one fire stove with some hot water. It was pretty primitive in those days, and it isn't anymore. Judy knows most of it, and Judy's investigated a lot of it, and she really does know what's going on. Of course, she doesn't know that early part. She doesn't know that I was nursing her in the cold front bedrooms and coming up and getting water out of the well. And we bathed them in the laundry. We had two, they're out here somewhere, two troughs, concrete troughs. And I used to get water there, boil it in the copper, bucket into the trough and bath the kids in the trough.
We get it too easy these days, don't we?
Well, it's different. We were happy doing that. We didn't know, well, I knew plenty else because I lived in the city, but it's how you lived.
Well, Mary, I'm going to
Call it.
finish this episode now.
Good.
Thank you once again.
Good.
I love talking to you,
Oh.
and I can't wait to launch these couple of episodes out on Spotify.
Oh, it'll be lovely.
Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go now, and I'm going to catch you in a few days' time.
All right.
And I believe you're bringing lunch out for us, so we'll see you in a couple of
We
days.
do. I'll be glad to do that, and it's lovely talking to you.